In a room full of torture instruments, a fat man is tied to a chair. The man takes out a sedative, and then he takes out a knife. Then he took out a knife. He cuts open his stomach alive as he watches. Then he put in 7 stones and sewed him up. The fat man's body was eventually found by the police. In a sewer. The forensic medical examination. He died from the pain of the stones in his stomach. After learning his identity, Lao Lu was instantly baffled. This is not the fat man we investigated a few days ago. It turns out that a few days ago, police station came a fool to surrender. He claimed to have killed someone. He even described the crime scene in a bad light. The police took the case seriously. According to the location, he said, they went to the house to investigate. Unexpectedly, the victim was fine and nothing happened. They were fooled by a fool. Several people are very angry. The police station directly pushed him to the ground, but Baoqiang suddenly rolled on the ground like a madman. Looking at the body in front of him, Lao Lu realized he personally let go of a psychopathic murderer. Thinking of the application for promotion submitted a few days ago. If his boss finds out about this, he'll be out of luck. So he and his colleagues started investigating the case. Soon they found out from an orphanage. They learnt about Baoqiang's life. It turned out that Baoqiang was an orphan since he was a child. Due to a skin disease, he was bullied since childhood. There was only one autistic girl who wanted to play with him. Maybe it's because of this kind of upbringing. That's why he's not in his right mind. Afterwards, they continued to go to Fatty's mental hospital to investigate. They learned from the staff. The other day, a patient who had an argument with Fatty ran away. He was a girl with severe autism. When Lao Lu heard it, he felt a bit of déjà vu. This girl is also autistic. Is she Baoqiang's childhood friend? Did Baoqiang kill to take revenge for him? In order to find out more, they decided to go to his room to take a look. But as soon as they entered, they were shocked. The room was covered with graffiti. Old Lu, with his intuition, he thought these drawings were related to the case, so he took the graffiti and brought them home. When he got home, he looked at them. He couldn't figure out what was going on. He finally decided to take his wife and son to go to the parent-child playground. Relax. But what he didn't expect was, the murder happened again. The woman was naked and tied to a cart. The next moment he's being pushed into a furnace. Watching the woman being burnt by the fire, Baoqiang looked like he was enjoying himself. Then he put on a doll's costume. He hid the body in the oven on the stage. The host opened the oven. A vampire appeared. Everyone in the audience was scared out of their wits. Baoqiang, on the other hand, he smiled with satisfaction. The police arrived at the scene soon. They found a wolf character on the ground. Lao Lu instantly remembered that at the last dumping site, there was also a wolf with an unknown meaning. Although the meaning is still unclear, but it's enough to confirm the murderer this time should be Baoqiang. But what's his motive for killing consecutively? Back home, Lao Lu, he thought he should start with Xiao Mei's work. Looking at the photos, Lu is still confused. What's all this? Suddenly his wife asked him to go to the living room. It turns out that his son used these graffiti as a puzzle, put together a complete picture. Old Lu instantly understood. He hurriedly put the rest of the paintings together. There were 4 fairy tales in total: Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White, The Red Dancing Shoes, and Cinderella, the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood. In the end, she died with 7 stones in her stomach. The Wicked Queen in Snow White, she was burnt alive while naked. So these paintings are a preview of the murder. His intuition was right. Xiao Mei and Baoqiang are really connected. There are 4 paintings in total. That's only 2 cases. That means there will be 2 more murders. Lao Lu reported the clues to the police. Soon identified the relationship between the 2 victims. Turns out they were both caretakers at the orphanage. They were expelled because of frequent abuse of children. Lu immediately checked the data of the orphanage. There are 4 administrators. There's no mistaking it. 4 administrators correspond to 4 stories. In Baoqiang's world, bad guys are wolves and should be punished. Lu sent his men to look for the remaining 2, preparing to protect them. But before he could take action, I got the news of the 3rd person's death. He was made into a mannequin and dropped on a machine. He was wearing a pair of red shoes that were nailed to his feet. This corresponds to the red shoes. Now there's only 1 administrator left. Lu rushed to the door to protect him, but he was afraid of being implicated. He was afraid of being implicated in the bad things he did back then. He gave him a direct expulsion order, forced by his professional responsibility. Lu still chose to bring someone to keep an eye on him downstairs. Unexpectedly, just a moment's lapse of concentration. On the woman's window, there was a big wolf character. In order to put on a woman's crystal shoes, the murderer cut off his toes alive, and then killed him in cold blood, and wrote a big wolf on the window. When Lou saw the words on the window, he realized that something had happened to the woman. He rushed upstairs, but he was too late. Inside the house, there was only a dead body. After handling the scene, Lou returned home in despair, suddenly realized that there was also a big blood-red letter on his window. Suddenly received a text message. It said he should go to a designated place to save someone. In the car, Lou called his colleagues for help, but no one answered. At this time, he could not imagine that his colleagues were also dazed. As a hostage, a bottle of water fell from the sky when he arrived at the destination. He looked up and saw Baoqiang was holding his wife hostage. Watching his wife call for help, he was in a state of confusion, as there was no other way. He had to climb despite the barbs and the pain. When he managed to reach the castle, unexpectedly this is only the first level. Lou held up his gun and walked cautiously forward. Suddenly, he heard cries for help. It turned out that his colleague was suspended in midair. At that moment, Baoqiang's voice came. If you want to save them, you have to eat the poisoned apple in front of you. Lao Lu hesitated. However, in the moment of hesitation, a colleague was directly dropped hard on the ground. This scene, I'm sure Joe would have exclaimed that he's good at what he does. Seeing his colleague injured, Lou quickly ate the apple. He felt a bit dizzy after one bite, but he didn't have time to think about it, and lifted the apple up high. He's already eaten. Baoqiang saw this and also put his colleague down, but his wife and son are still in danger. Lao Lu continued to search. Suddenly a huge red cloth came into view. As the red cloth fell, inside was Baoqiang and Xiaomei, and his wife and son hanging high in the air. Old Lu was furious. He grabbed Baoqiang and beat him up, but Baoqiang didn't resist at all. On the contrary, he said his wife and son would fall to their deaths in 3 minutes. If you want to save them, you have to find the remote control. Then he said the apple poison will strike in 3 minutes. The antidote is the water thrown downstairs at the beginning. If you go downstairs to get the water, your wife and son will die. If you save your wife and child, you will die. You can only choose one of the two. After saying that, the timer starts. Lao Lu did not hesitate for a moment. He went straight to look for the remote control. He chose to save his wife and son. He started searching through the clutter. Seeing the time pass by little, old Lu was extremely anxious. Suddenly, the light of the remote control caught his eye. He found it and managed to save his wife and son at the last minute. However, 3 minutes had passed, but Lao Lu had not been poisoned. At this moment, Baoqiang smiled. It turns out that he had planned all this. Killing is for revenge, and the reason for torturing Lu was to give him credit, to make him a hero. When they were young, they had just escaped from the orphanage. No one was willing to help, but Lu left them a sum of money. Baoqiang remembered all these deeply in his heart. One by one, their wishes were fulfilled. Baoqiang and Xiaomei had no attachment. They have no more love for this world. They started the fire that was prepared long ago. Smiling, they were consumed by the fire, with their own deaths. To end this fairy tale, the film The Hunter, the actors are all very good, but the plot is unbearable. The story is full of holes. Many details are missing. If we can improve it, the film would not have received only 4.5 points. He deserves more.